Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This is Abdul Rahman Khan, your host, and this is the Art Channel USA podcast. So I want to get back on some football talk. It's been a couple of weeks, and last week, well, we talked about the divisional round and some pretty solid turnouts. My prediction was the Packers would win. They did not, but it was a pretty good match. Until the last probably 5 minutes of the game, it kind of got away for the Packers. But overall, good, matchup, great competition. And, it did show us a few things, definitely about the 49ers as well. They do have some questions they need to still answer. And on the other hand, you had the Ravens, who absolutely took care of the Houston Texans, the Chiefs, and the Buffalo Bills, a game that was very close, could have gone either way. And then, of course, you had the Lions and the Bucks. And that was a very good game as well. The Lions, of course, won it. Their offense seems to be their strong suit. If you're looking at the stats as well, they're just the top three offense in every category: rushing, passing. So a great offense. And so that being said, looking at the AFC Championship game this weekend, which is going to be in Baltimore, the Chiefs are going to be coming to Baltimore, which is, I think, the first time Baltimore's having a huge game in about 10 years, right? At home in the AFC Championship game, which is great. They've been a great team this year, performing at all levels: special teams, defense, offense. They really don't have any questions, any weaknesses that I can think of. Of course, it seems like the only thing that can really slow down Baltimore is Baltimore, right? They sometimes come out of the gates in the beginning of the game kind of slow a little bit, so they really need to make sure that they're stepping up and just right out the door, just be on firing on all cylinders, and this is very important for them. So looking ahead, thinking about Baltimore, their offense, their rush attack is amazing, unstoppable. Lamar again just adds so much to the offensive rushing, threat, and so on top of that, they use that as a ability and as a reason to open up the passing. And Mark Andrews is back. Great news. Devin Duvernay, which I know very underrated, but he's a great piece. He makes some really big plays. And then I feel like this weekend they're gonna come out with something with Ricard, the fullback. He's gonna be a big deal. Might be a big part of the game plan this weekend, just so we can get more protection for Lamar. And that being said, I think it's gonna be a good game for the first quarter and a half to two, but then as usual, Ravens make some really great halftime adjustments. I think they're going to pull away, and final score should be about 31-17, 31-20 is my prediction. It should be more than a 10-point game, and the Ravens do win this game. Their defense is just, although if you look at it statistically, the Chiefs and the Ravens both are great in terms of allowing passing yards, allowing rushing yards, and even points per game. They're very close, very similar to each other. But the difference is the Ravens defense really just creates turnovers, and that's what wins you games, right? Creating turnovers and minimizing your own turnovers. And the Ravens have been great at both. The offense hasn't given them the ball away too much, and the defense has created turnovers. I think that's just what's going to happen. It's going to get carried into the AFC Championship game, and Ravens should win this game. There's no reason why. Honestly, this year they just look so unstoppable. They've really been just such a great team. They have a special group of guys. John Harbaugh has been a great coach this year. If he hadn't been in the league for so long, and if the Ravens didn't have like such a solid season the last 3-4 years, and say they had a season like the Lions, and this year they just all of a sudden came out of nowhere, he probably would have won Coach of the Year. But when you're experienced, you don't always get the benefit of the doubt. Now, so that being said, that's my prediction for the AFC Championship game. It's going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And so looking forward to it. Very exciting. On the other hand, you've got the Lions going to, the San Francisco 49ers home. And that's going to be exciting. That should be at 6:30. Double check. I think 6:30 p.m. Eastern time again. And 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And that's also going to be a great game in San Fran. It should be 69 degrees, sunny, and same with Baltimore. Baltimore's going to be 49 degrees, but a little cloudy. But either way, San Francisco, they've been a good team. For the last 5-6 years, I would say that, honestly, the only question for them has been the quarterback play, right? And, if you really think about it, if they had a really good quarterback the last 5-6 years, who knows? We might not be even talking about the Chiefs today, right? The way we talk about them, the last 5 or 6 seasons, they've got a couple Super Bowls, 3 appearances, and would it really be the same? Maybe not, right? The 49ers with a great or a good quarterback really just would be unstoppable. They might have a couple Super Bowls under their belt over the Chiefs the last couple, 6 years or so, 5, 6 years. So that honestly is still the question that remains. Brock Purdy has been very good statistically, but the difference is there are stats and then there's the eye test, right? The eye test really tells you a lot more. Stats don't tell you the full story. They don't tell you the timing of how those stats were, put into play. Was it at the right time? Was it at the critical time? Was, the touchdown pass that was thrown, was it very last minute? Was the interception thrown early in the game when it was not as crucial or didn't matter as much as maybe at the end of the game, right? Where the defense had to come up with a big play to save you. So those type of things really matter. Now, last week, Brock Purdy had an all right, really honestly, not that great of a game against the Packers until the last drive, which again was a big part of it. It's just Christian McCaffrey really inspires the offense. That's really, he's their heartbeat. So this weekend, honestly, looking at the matchup, the Lions seem like they are just overall the better offense. They have a better quarterback. Their O-line's better. They're offensively, honestly, both are equally good. So you've got Laporta, you've got Kittle. Both have been great this year. And Laporta, honestly, might be in contention for Rookie of the Year, right? Or at least Offensive Rookie of the Year. So there's that. You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, amazing. Jameson Williams, I mean, he's kind of developing still, coming along. But on top of that, you have to realize, nobody's really talking about this. And because it's kind of been a little bit quieter recently, but their run game is special, man. I know the 49ers have Christian McCaffrey, who's been amazing, but you've got Jahmyr Gibbs and you've got David Montgomery on the Lions, in the Lions backfield, and they're a great duo. They put together over 150 yards almost rushing every game. It's just they divide it up rather than Christian McCaffrey putting it on, himself. So yes, he stands out more, but the Lions, if anything, there's an advantage for them because you can mix and match, right? You can throw in a fully rested guy every 3-4 snaps, right? You switch it up. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's a little different. He's more explosive, more cast the ball, make a huge play kind of a guy. As David Montgomery's more of a bell cow. He can run through the O line, D line, and kind of give you big yardage, or solid yardages, right, when you need it. And he can break out for big runs too, but that's not what they're really using him for. So you've got all that. You've got a better O-line. So I'm giving the offensive edge to the Lions. Now, defensively, man, wow. So very interesting. They're both really good defensive run teams, right? Rushing defenses. Both are very solid. Both in, I think, the top 8 or top 10. So both rushing offenses are going to have, some challenges. Christian McCaffrey's not going to maybe have the way he wants to unless they drop some behind from the back of the field, catch and run plays more so for him. The run defense for both teams is going to be pretty interesting. Now, that being said, the 49ers have a middle of the pack passing defense, which is all the Lions need. On the other hand, Brock Purdy will benefit from the Lions passing defense because their passing defense is pretty bad. I mean, it's been pretty horrendous, even in the playoffs. I mean, they're giving up a lot of yards, the Lions, and but they still find a way to win. So this will probably be a game where Brock Purdy's going to have a pretty, I would say, solid to good game in terms of, stats, statistically. But that being said, I would say that I'm going to take the Lions 27-24, and I think they're going to come up with a few plays, and then the offense will carry, right? The defense will do just enough to slow down the run game for the 49ers. And their D-line, honestly, Aiden Hutchinson, I think, and he's been a problem. He's been great in the playoffs. He's leading the playoffs with 3 sacks. And so, of course, it's the playoffs, and you have, 2 games? You probably played more games than some of the other guys. Understandable, but even then, I mean, that's impressive that Aiden Hutchinson he's been the sack leader in the playoffs with 3. They also have, hard to say his name, I don't want to butcher it, but Melifonwu. He's also 5th with 1.5 sacks. So it's great to see that, they can put some pressure on you, on the quarterback as well. And that's really what the Detroit Lions will need to beat the 49ers, right? They're going to put some pressure on Purdy, force him to make a mistake or two. Now, the cornerbacks will have to come up with a couple plays, right? Maybe pat some balls down when, to break some 3rd and 10 or 4th and 10 plays. And at the same time, maybe catch an interception or two. And really, that's what's going to lead the Lions to really win it. But the offense will be the one that's going to be carrying. So I expect the offense to put up 27 to 30 points, win this game outright, and go to the Super Bowl. And it looks like the Lions are really, they have a great culture right now. And Dan Campbell's been such a great coach. And Kyle Shanahan, don't get me wrong, is a great coach, but he does have a history of losing certain games, and not that this matters. Every game is, of its own, and so you can't really carry too much into it. But obviously, his play calling does cause some of those losses, so that is still in question. And of course, the quarterback play for the 49ers isn't the most reliable. So I'm going to take the Lions, and for the Ravens, it's going to be Ravens over the Chiefs. So I've got the Ravens versus the Lions in the Super Bowl. That's going to be exciting. Looking forward to both games. Hopefully, you're with families and friends and you're enjoying the game. Let me know if you have any feedback, any questions, or any comments about, whether the podcast or what you think about the game and what your predictions are. So leave some comments in the section below. Definitely like, subscribe, and share my podcast, and I appreciate your time. Have a good weekend. We'll catch up next time. Bye-bye.